Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Rich Perez welcoming you back into another weekly dose of your rundown. Joined in with me, as always, my brother from another, my co-host, all the way from the Kayson Davis. How you doing, Kay?
I'm doing great, brother. How you doing this week?
I'm doing good, man. You see it? You see it? Y'all gonna hate me today. Y'all not go. If you a Knicks fan, you are not gonna like me today. Let's just get that out the way right now. That's exactly why I'm dressed this way. We ready for the Eastern Conference Finals. Three out of the last 4 years, the Heat have been here. They will be taking on Boston for the third time in the last 4 years. But before we dissect into the conference finals between the Heat and the Celtics, as well as Lakers and Nuggets, we got a couple other things we got to get off the board before we get into that. Namely, NBA draft lottery tomorrow. Who will get the prize number one pick of Victor Wembanyama? Also, big news coming out of Memphis. Ja Morant. Let's go ahead and start there. Ja Morant is finding himself in trouble once again for the same exact issue that he originally got in trouble for. He was with his friend, one of his friends whose name escapes me at the moment. Same friend that he was with the last time he got in trouble at the strip club with the gun. And this time they were in a car. It was an IG live, and while they're in a car, he's dancing and flashes the gun and whatnot. And here's all I gotta say about this. Really, yes, you are allowed to have a right to bear arms. And in Memphis, especially, I don't think there's anything illegal about that. Here's the problem, though. You just got suspended a bunch of games for this issue. Adam, in David Stern's NBA, he might have missed the rest of the season. But Adam Silver is very lenient. Adam Silver cannot be lenient in this instant. And it sounds like he won't. Ja's going to get a lengthy suspension having to do with, not representing the NBA and the way that the NBA would like to be represented, whatnot. Ja, you got to be more cognizant of what you're doing. You got to wake up. I feel like at the end of the day here, like, you got in huge trouble for this. You went to therapy, which, I mean, a couple days in therapy is not going to fix whatever issue it is that you have. It's just a bad look. It's comes off as a bit immature. Like I said, the biggest thing here is he got in trouble for this. This was a media frenzy when he got in trouble for this. Why would you want to put yourself in this situation again? And you've got the older guys that are trying to school you on this stuff. Like Shannon Sharp has come out in the past when he first got in trouble for this and said why what he's doing is wrong. At the end of the day, you're fumbling the bag. You're fumbling the bag. You are going to ruin your career over stupidity. I can understand you having a gun for protection. You want to have a gun to make sure that, you're good and whatnot. As a basketball player, you probably should be walking around with security. Also, there was nothing in this situation where you needed to have the gun. You're just in here flashing a gun. What if a cop would have been rolling by while this is going on and you're just flashing a gun in the car? Like, the optics are bad. It doesn't look good. It's not smart. And in the end, what it's going to do, it brings you back into a bad light. People have just been trashing him since this came out over the weekend. And it starts to question where you're at as far as what kind of career you're going to have moving forward. This is detrimental to your career. It could be damaging to your career. You're only going to get but so much chances. And the fact that you're getting in trouble, not that you're getting in trouble for something else, you're getting in trouble over the same exact thing that you just had an issue with a couple months ago.
Right. I think there's a couple things here. I think I'm not gonna come on here and like you said, people have the right to bear arms or whatever it is in this country, but I'm not gonna come on here and act like having a gun is like the worst thing in the world. I think there's a couple things. Most of the people calling for him to be suspended and things like that, or the ones having a big uproar, are probably people who carry guns themselves. I think it's two things. One, keep it off the internet. Like, there's no need, like you said, to be flashing, like you said, a cop could be going by, whatever the case may be. But there's really no need for you to just be flashing it for no reason. I think that's where some people kind of get upset. Like, keep it off the internet, because at that point you're kind of just trying to portray this certain image that you really don't need to portray. Like, whatever you decide, or whoever you decide to be in your own time or whatever, like, that's fine. But like, keep that type of stuff like off on the internet. And I think I seen someone say like, yeah, I mean, I go back to the hood with my friends and do this or do that, but I just keep it off the internet. There's really no need to kind of be on there doing that type of thing. And then I think another thing that gets people a lot is that a lot of people feel like he really doesn't come from that life. So you're really kind of just doing and portraying this image that you see in maybe like rap songs or whatever it is, when you really don't have to. And I like a lot of people say like people would be dying to be you. The people who you're trying to be like would rather be you. So you're trying to portray this image for this thing. So it's like, I think if people probably really knew he came from that lifestyle stuff, maybe some of the people would be like, all right, I can, understand, just keep it off the internet type of thing. But that's my biggest thing. I'm not going to come on here and act like having the gun's the worst thing in the world and yada, yada, yada. Everyone nowadays got guns, whether it's for protection or you just like them or whatever. Like, we just live in this type of country. And I don't even like people being like acting like it's the end of the world, because half of those people are carrying guns themselves. But the thing is, like, keep it off the internet for one, and two, you kind of really don't need to be doing that stuff anyway. Like you said, like they're not even doing anything where like you need security. It's just like it's a fake lifestyle that you're portraying for no reason, and it just seems more like you're like showboating and trying to be something you're not. And I think that's kind of the biggest problem. Keep it off the internet. If you're gonna do it, whatever. You have your right to carry your gun or do whatever you want. Keep it off the internet, bro. There's no need for you to just be on there flashing and flaunting and trying to be that type of person.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Rose. He had the interview with Jalen Rose, right? And Jalen Rose was asking him these questions about, him being aware that he is a role model and things like that. And he answered everything the right way. But then you go to this situation and it's just like, you didn't mean anything that you said. And I'm with you 100%. To me, it's not the fact that you have a gun. That it is what it is. You have your right to bear arms. You feel like you want a gun, you can have that. It's stupidity though. The fact that you're on the internet flashing this gun for really no reason at all. You're trying to look cool and you're just looking stupid at the end of the day. I think Ja needs to start setting boundaries for himself. As far as, no one's saying stop hanging out with the people you're hanging out with, but again, I'm saying it again. You got to be cognizant of what you're around and what you're doing. If you know that, you're not going to make the smartest decisions with a certain group, it's not that you don't have to hang out with the group, but you should be aware of, all right, maybe I should keep a distance, or maybe I should just have a chat with y'all. Like, y'all should be checking me. And I've heard like Keyshawn Johnson talk about this. I've heard Shannon Sharp talk about this. Anybody, I mean, we personally know people who've made it out. And your biggest thing is, no, you don't have to stop hanging out with these people. But even like as somebody who's a friend of a star athlete or just anybody famous, your job now is to make sure that they're taken care of, that they're doing the right things. And he doesn't seem like he has those people around him.
Right, I can see that. I'm on both sides of the fence. You got to know, like, the person kind of has to know themselves. Like, obviously, we don't know like his friend's situation to really know what they're really doing or not doing type of thing. But everyone is like, because Ja, especially in this case, Ja's like he's the breadwinner, let's say. So if Ja says tomorrow, like, we're hanging the guns up, like, they're gonna hang the guns up type of thing. So I think to me, it's kind of, and I don't really want to say it this way because everyone's different. So I feel like the person has to know themselves. So like you were saying, if you know being around these certain people are gonna make you act a certain way, then like you said, you need to get away from those people. But I'm also like on the mindset too, like if you know yourself and you know whatever, like you can be able to navigate yourself in those situations. I think, like you said, knowing people who's been through it, kind of going through it yourself type of thing, like you should be able to navigate yourself through those type of situations. I think that comes more so like knowing yourself. Like I said, keep it off the internet if that's what I because right now you're really only getting in trouble because you're on the internet with it. Like you didn't get
Right.
caught by the cops. You didn't like nothing happened. Like you're really in trouble because you're on the internet with it. So just like keep it off the internet type of thing. You know what I mean? So it's like you kind of got to just like know yourself. Whether it's you got to tell your friends put the phones away, whatever
Yeah.
the case is, type of thing. You gotta. I think he has to maybe get to a point where like he knows himself, and then or maybe if his friends know him or whatever. I think it's kind of hard to like put it on your friends. Like I said, being in situations myself, like I like if you know right from wrong or just whatever your situation is, you know, like all right, I can sit this one out. His friend could be the one flashing the gun. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't have to be him. Like, you can keep the gun. If you want to let people know you got the gun, let your friends flash the gun. You know what I mean? Like, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think you kind of got to just, he has to first, for anyone can help himself, especially with, for anyone can help him, especially with him being a breadwinner, he has to, like, help himself first. And that's kind of the situation for me. So I'm not even going to put it too much on his friends or whatever. And his friends should be checking him and things like that. But, like, honestly, as a grown man, if he's gonna flash the gun, he's gonna flash the gun. Like no one's gonna, like no one can kind of stop him from doing that. So he has to know himself, and he has to like want to help himself first. Like someone can't help you if you don't want to help yourself, type of thing.
Yeah, the biggest thing here, like we're talking about stupidity and being like I think the reason why a lot of people, us included, are like going so hard over this is, I'm a fan of Ja, right? I love watching Ja play basketball. He's fun to watch. He's extremely talented. Stuff like this it just questions like where he's at in his life. Like, and again, both of us are not like poo-pooing on the fact that he has a gun. That's whatever. You want to own a gun, own a gun. That's on you. It's the situations that you put yourself in. And really fumbling the bag. That my biggest thing is fumbling the bag. You shouldn't be out here fumbling the bag. You are in a situation where you are getting money that is life changing. Life changing for yourself. It's life changing for your family. It's going to be life changing for your children, possibly even your children's children. And things like this put that in jeopardy. Because if his career were to end tomorrow, no endorsed, like Nike pulls the shoe deal, Powerade pulls the shoe deal. He's done with the Memphis Grizzlies. How long is that money gonna last? Honestly, because unless you're a smart investor, that's only gonna run you but so long, and then you're in some serious trouble. My thing is, stop acting like something you're not. Kwame Brown came out the other day, and not the other day, today, and just completely ripped him about how he went to a prep school, came from a good family, which he does. And why are you trying to attract this lifestyle that you really have no business attracting? I don't know if you saw the video, the prominent Crip member, whose name I don't remember, just completely read him. I think this came out yesterday or 2 days ago, and it was just like, if I called you right now and told you to just come out, hang out with us, like I guarantee you probably wouldn't even text me back, because if you were hanging out with us and seeing the stuff that we deal with on a daily basis, you would stop acting how it is that you're acting, throwing up the gang signs, throwing up the guns, all that stuff. So this is the time now. It should have been the first time he got in trouble, but now so more than ever, bro, you need to wake up. You have to wake up. I don't know if you need to find a vet that you need to get in touch with and start talking to. Do you need to start having more conversations with your dad? Something, but this is not a good look, and now more than ever, he's got to open his eyes to the reality of what he's doing.
Right. I think that's the biggest problem for a lot of people is that he's portraying or doing this type of life that he's not from, and he kind of doesn't have to do now, type of thing. So I think that's people's biggest problems. Like you're trying to be something that you're really not, And like I said, a lot of people who you're trying to be like want to be like you, or just get the money that you're getting or whatever, and things like that. So I think that's like most of the biggest problem. And the thing is like no one's even saying stop hanging around who you're hanging around with, but you being the star or being the breadwinner, however you want to put it, you shouldn't be the one with the gun in your hand. Like you shouldn't be the one getting in trouble. Now it to be like, hey, John Moran was out and his friend had a gun on him, whatever the case may be, but you shouldn't be the one with getting like caught with the gun in your hand, flaunting the gun, doing things like that, making certain comments, things like that. Like it shouldn't be you. And I think that's maybe where you're right on like his friends checking him like, hey, that shouldn't be you. You give me the gun. Let me take the gun. No matter how much you want to play with it. And even if I do give it to you, everyone make sure the cameras are off. You know what I
Right.
mean? Type of thing. And I think that's kind of where I agree with you, where his friends come in, where it's like, now we check you, where it's like, not you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to do that. Leave that up to one of us. We got the gun. If you want us to flaunt it in the video, maybe sure. But like, you know what I mean? Like, not you. Out of
Yeah.
all people, we shouldn't get in trouble because you're the one who got caught with it in your hand.
Yeah, exactly. Even if like if this was reversed, like his friend had the gun instead of him, but he was in the video. All right, yeah, we're talking about it, but that's a lot easier for you to navigate than yo. It's the second time John Moran is holding a gun, flashing it in a video. Like you just gotta be more aware of what you're doing. At the end of the day, moving forward here, let's go ahead and jump into the NBA draft lottery, the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. We thought Zion was a big deal, and it was a Zion mania coming into the NBA draft was a huge deal. You know, we compared it. I at least compared it to when Patrick Ewing came out in the draft and the Knicks got the number one pick. Like that's how big of a deal Zion was. I compared it to that. To me, Victor Wembanyama, this is like Tim Duncan 2.0, where you got teams tanking for him. Who's gonna go out here and end up with this number one pick tomorrow, whether it be the Detroit Pistons, the Houston Rockets, San Antonio Spurs, Charlotte Hornets, Portland Trail Blazers, Orlando Magic, Indiana Pacers, Wizards, Utah Jazz, Dallas Mavericks are in there, the Chicago Bulls, Oklahoma City, and the Toronto Raptors and the Pelicans. Obviously, those teams that I mentioned earlier are the ones with the highest odds, but we do know that in this new lottery system, that just because you have the worst record, not only does it not mean that you're going to end up with the number one pick, it could mean that you end up with the 10th pick or something like that. So it's really been working to discourage tanking to the point. I mean, these teams that are bad are just bad. Like they're not. Yeah, you could like, in a sense they're purposely tanking, but it's not like years past where people are really like holding out to try and get this pick because it's not the likelihood of it happening is not as solid as it used to be. Um, who do you think? What situation would be best for Victor Wembanyama to jump in? I mean, the Houston Rockets have a ton of young talent. There's the rumors out there that Harden might return to Houston. The San Antonio Spurs, you can't go wrong with playing for Greg Popovich. And I mean, like I said, it's almost like deja vu with the Spurs being in position to get the number one pick, like they did so many years ago, and end up with a Tim Duncan. And it's like, man, you can end up with Victor Wembanyama. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would love to see him in Texas. I live out here. I think the best situation for him might be in San Antonio because there's not a better coach that realistically out of this list that he's gonna get to play for than Greg Popovich. If he ends up in Houston, that'd be a great situation for him too. He's going to be playing for Ime Udoka. Regardless of what he did off the court, we can all agree Ime Udoka is a fantastic coach, and he's got a bunch of young talent surrounding him. So I mean, there's that, and then Detroit. You could put Detroit on the board for the same. Detroit doesn't have a head coach yet, right? They're still searching for that.
Yeah, I don't think they have a head coach yet.
So the coaching is going to be in question until there's actually a name to talk about there. But again, similar to Houston, you've got a ton of young talent around you. But for me, I think I'm gonna go with San Antonio just off of the history and the coaching.
I think I think San Antonio would be the best spot for him development wise, like you said, history, coaching, just what they've shown to be able to develop players. I think would probably be the best spot for him development wise. Like you said, you can look at it as another Tim Duncan situation with Greg Popovich still being there. And obviously, we know the great coach that he is, the players they have developed over the years. I think Houston would be the best spot for him on being able to have an impact, but be on a team that may be ready to make that next jump, whether it's getting to the playoffs or just win more games. I think you go to San Antonio, they're not probably there where it's like maybe next year they can be in the playoffs. I think Houston, you get him over there. They got Udoka over there. Like we said, you think he's a great coach. You got Jalen Green. You got the talent that's there. I think you add him to Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. I think those guys are, especially with Udoka coming over there, probably getting those guys to lock in and maybe fix some of them things that we heard that's going on over there, the kind of young, maybe a little out of control type of things that we've been hearing over there. So I think that would be the best spot for him for where it's like I can have an impact and still maybe be on a team where it's like we can, I don't want to say go for it, but we can make that next step right now where we're kind of ready to maybe not be a lottery team next year. I guess to say that have the most talent around him type of thing. I think Detroit is interesting because obviously Kevin, Troy Weaver over there, we know what he can do, and I think his impact has been shown a lot since he's kind of been over there. The talent he's been able to kind of get over there. But they have Jalen Durant, they have Wiseman. I think they're kind of loaded at that guard spot. And obviously, we think Wembanyama probably has the higher upside than all those guys. So maybe you take the best player available and figure the rest of it out. But they're kind of stacked in the front court. So
I don't care who they got. This is like my bad. When when we were talking about like Harden and KPJ, and you were like, I like KPJ, but how you gonna take KPJ over Harden? I don't care who. Those are all nice players. I'm taking Victor Wembanyama over all of them.
Right, and they have some talent over there. So obviously, number one pick Kate Cunningham a few years ago, Jalen Ivey last year. You bring Wembanyama into that. That could be a nice spot for him. Like we said, we don't know what coach would be there. And then they could probably trade some of those guys, maybe get some talent back if you get him. So Detroit won't be too bad now. I think that's another team kind of where they're like Houston. They kind of just got to start putting it together. And if you add him to that, maybe they could be a play-in team next year. I think a spot I would like to see him go to the most out of like everything you just said, I'd like to see him go to Charlotte. I think LaMelo needs that him and LaMelo together. Obviously, LaMelo being a great passer. I think out of all those spots, LaMelo would be the best point guard, passing wise, that he would play with. I think Charlotte needs that. Obviously, getting him will give you that 1-2 punch with him and LaMelo. I think Charlotte needs that kind of generational talent to kind of finally get them over the hump. Obviously, things haven't been going Jordan's way since he's gotten the team, and they made the playoffs a couple times, and then it's kind of been a real up and down. But I think him being in Charlotte, you team him up with him and LaMelo, I think that gives you the 1-2 punch for the next 10, 15 years. You got him with a great passer, someone that's going to be able to get him the ball, hit him in transition. That pick and roll should be kind of deadly because he can pop, he can roll, he can catch lobs. So I think him and LaMelo, I think, would be the best kind of 1-2 duo. And I think part of it is I want to see Charlotte I think Charlotte needs the most help talent-wise, and I think Charlotte can use him to make that impact and kind of get their franchise back on track. Like those other teams, I think will be fine. Like we were saying, they got talent. You got Jalen Green. You got those other players. So I think the other places will be fine. I think Charlotte needs him the most. They need someone to put next to LaMelo, and they need someone to kind of come in, get people back in their seats, and get that thing back rolling again, and get the team back on track.
I didn't think about that at all. I might have to back you on that one. If you pair LaMelo Ball up with Victor Wembanyama, that is a team. I feel very confident saying this. You pair those two up, that is a team that I believe can compete for a championship in the next 5 years. Obviously, they're going to have their growing pains and things like that, but that is a combination I like a lot. I mean, LaMelo, he's a lot better passer than we expected him to be coming into the league, and then he's a heck of a scorer. He's definitely the best of the three brothers. You know, you work around putting the talent together around them. Obviously, they got some other pieces over there that are pretty nice, but yeah, I think I might have to go with you on that one. And again, like I said earlier, with the new draft lottery system, that's not a far-fetched idea. You know, like Charlotte is entrenched at the 4 spot, so they got a 12.5% chance, just a little under the top 3 teams to end up with that one pick. But like I said, as we've seen in the past, it absolutely can happen. I don't even think like the year Ja got drafted, Memphis's lottery chances were not as high as like a top 3 pick would expect you to be, and they ended up in that spot. So definitely something to look out for. For me, I think I'm gonna go with as far as teams that situations that would be good for him, but teams that would need him. You just sold me on Charlotte, and I think San Antonio is gonna be another team that would need him. Like Houston's got a ton of ton of nice players over there and draft picks or whatnot. They'll be okay. Obviously, you want that Wembanyama spot, but they'll be okay. Same with Detroit. But yeah, top 2 for me is gonna have to be Charlotte and San Antonio now for sure.
Yeah, I actually back you on that San Antonio one. Out of the teams we said, they're the one who is in desperate need of any type of talent. So, like I said, and he'll be in a good spot where he'll develop really well. I just like him in Charlotte because you already have that passing point guard. So you think about that 1-2 punch that can be dynamic for a little while now. And then for me there, you just surround those guys with a whole bunch of 3 and D players, maybe a couple of veteran 3 and D players. I think you guys got something going forward. You think, like I said, that pick and roll with those 2, you got those other guys stretching the court and playing defense. I think, well, LaMelo's passing ability, I think it'd be perfect for Charlotte and kind of what they can do going forward as a team. Like I said, I think that can make them a play-in team. You think this year, before LaMelo Ball got hurt this year and Miles Bridges being out, they were kind of a play-in team before. So you add that, and then, like I said, you just add the right pieces around them. That's a team that, like you said, can maybe compete for a championship in a few years. You just got to keep surrounding them with the right pieces.
You know what would be the biggest headline? What like stopper for sure? Imagine if Portland ended up with the number 1 pick. Portland ends up with the number 1 pick. Everything that we've said about Dame going somewhere this summer is gone. I think that if they end up with the number 1 pick, we're not even talking about Dame playing anywhere else outside of Portland.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Obviously, he's still going to be a young guy who has to come in and learn. And we've seen how it can be with maybe some of these taller guys. But if he maximizes his potential, like a lot of people think, then yeah, definitely. I think the Portland Trailblazers, you hold on to Dame and you ride that thing. I think that it kind of is on the same thing as the LaMelo Ball thing. Now you got that 1-2 punch. You just got to surround those guys with the right pieces, and I think you'll be good. If you think about it, you got Jeremy Grant over there already, kind of 3 and D.
Shaden Sharp
over there. Shaden Sharp. So you got some talent over there. You got some pieces. So I wouldn't be mad at that. I think if Orlando moves up a little bit too, that'd be nice. Obviously.
What's going on over there, man? How many? That's like I'm talking about the Houston Rockets like needing to get out of the lottery. Orlando's got to get out the lottery. I think it's time for them to start competing.
I think if these picks don't jump up, you maybe consider trading those picks for more veteran help around those guys. But you think about you add Wembanyama to what they got going on there, man. That's a lot of talent they got there. Obviously, everyone's not going to be able to make it. Everyone's not going to be able to play. But it leaves you with a lot of talent and a lot of options. So I think, like you said, it's time for them to maybe start trading picks to add that veteran help so you can start winning now. But you wait until after the odds come out because you might get that number 1 pick. You got a whole bunch of talent. You think Markelle Fultz, who ended the season playing well, he's looked like he's back. You got obviously the Rookie of the Year, Franz Wagner, who played really well these last 2 years. It's a lot of talent.
Cole Anthony, a lot of talent over there for sure. So yeah, man, be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for that. I'll definitely be tuned in. That's going to be right before the Western Conference Finals Game 1. Definitely be tuned in for that because that one's going to be fun to watch. And like I said, I usually don't get glued to the draft lottery, but so often. Like I was tuned in when it was Zion Mania, and this is going to be just up there with that. So definitely tune into that if you can, especially if your team's going to be in the running for a player like this. Even if you end up with a top 3 pick, you're good. You're good. You know, Scoot Henderson on the board. We were just talking about what's his name from Alabama?
Brandon Miller.
Brandon Miller. You know, wings winning this league. So That's going to be a big one. And we'll definitely have a lot more talk about the draft next week once we get past who's where and everything like that and what's going to happen. But, definitely be tuned into that. I need to hit my music real quick. No. Hey, I came on this show about a month ago when I knew that this series was going to happen. What did I say? Heat and 6. Now I know all my Knicks fans that are in here, they're salty, right? Rashad doesn't want to talk to me no more. I haven't heard from B Hodge. Haven't heard from him once. Haven't heard from Reggie. Haven't heard from Tone. Haven't heard from Uncle Tone. They're all very salty right now. And to that I say, be salty, because we are back. The Miami Heat are back once again in the Eastern Conference Finals for the third time in 4 years. Not only the third time in 4 years, but against the same exact team that they've played in the 3 conference finals that they've been in the last 4 years. Now, some people are out here saying, Boston's got this and all that. I'm here to tell you, pump the brakes, slow down. It took Boston 7 games to beat the Miami Heat last year. And the time they played before that, Miami took them out. Obviously, Boston is a competitor. They're coming off a NBA Finals a year ago. Game 7 with Philly. We'll get Meech. I hope you're still in here. You might need to call in. We get all that. But the Heat are not going to lay down. Do not think of the Heat as an 8 seed. Yes, they are an 8 seed, but we've all known the ceiling that this Heat team has, number 1. Number 2, I expect Tyler Hero to be back for this series. He's already had ample amount of time to come back from that broken hand, and expect him to play in this series. Maybe not game 1, but expect him to be back. And even without him, the Heat are very serviceable without him. You expect Jimmy there. Jimmy, I think we can at this point say he's one of the greatest postseason players of all time. And with the window that he's given us since he's got to Miami, even before he got to Miami. And what Bam's doing over there, Eric Spoelstra needs to win Coach of the Year, like next year or something. I cannot believe this man has never won a Coach of the Year with the job that he's done, specifically since the Big 3 left over there. That guy is a whiz. And I think the biggest thing, and I say this at every single series that the Miami Heat are in, you got to watch out for the coaching. Big reason why Miami beat the New York Knicks, coaching. Big reason why Miami beat the Milwaukee Bucks, coaching. And what are we talking about with the Boston Celtics right now? We're very iffy about a rookie coach. Now, yes, he's got all the pieces to work with over there. What is the battle of the minds like with him and Eric Spoelstra? So there's that. Philly and Boston. I saw what Embiid said yesterday, and he's right. They've got to be better. He's got to be better. The performance that we got from him and Harden was not up to par, and it just reminded you of what we've known those guys in the Philly franchise to be the last 5 years. Another second round exit. Again, Meech, if you are here, call me. Call right now, because we got some talking that we got to do. But Doc is not going to survive this. Doc, there's no way that Doc survives this last one. And his next job will either be in TV or he's going to retire.
He might retire for a little bit, maybe get into TV. Yeah, I think obviously in the Knicks series with the Heat, I think some coaching had something to do with it. I think Randall didn't play as well as he needed to play. I think and Jimmy Butler, I think, sprained his ankle a little bit, so he wasn't maybe at 100%. So I think that just kind of came down to coaching, and even the game 2 where Jimmy Butler didn't play, the Heat still had a chance to win that game. So I think just like in the first round series, the Heat shooters are kind of showing up right now and playing out of their mind. I know Jimmy Butler gave Kyle Lowry a big shout out, so Kyle Lowry's playing well, a lot better than maybe we expected because during the season there was maybe some talks of him being traded and stuff. But being a veteran right now, he's stepping up, and I think it kind of just came down to that. I think Randall not playing too well. Jalen Brunson played out of his mind, so I think he deserves a lot of credit, especially with the rumors that he was hurt and things like that. But I think it did come down to coaching a little bit, but it also maybe came down to just the Heat are clicking at the right time. I think right now Jimmy Butler's playing really well. The shooters are playing well. Kyle Lowry's stepping up. I think that team is just clicking at the right time. As far as the Philly series, man, Philly blew it. I think I think we all felt that going back to Game 7, that was kind of a long shot for Philly to go back into Boston for the third time that series and maybe get a dub. I didn't expect them to play that bad the way that they played, but I think in Game 6, it's fourth quarter. Tatum's not playing too well. There was like a 2 or 3 minute stretch where nobody can score. I see a lot of people call out the fact that they went away from the pick and roll with James and Embiid and things like that. I think Philly had their chances to win, and maybe things just kind of got tight for them. I think if you make a couple of those buckets when the score was tied and nobody was scoring before Tatum hit that 1-3 and then kind of got the ball rolling, you win that game. So I think Philly kind of just smoked it. I think they seen it. It was in their hands, and maybe the pressure just got to them a little bit, and then they smoked it. And then I think Game 7 was kind of like all she wrote already, obviously with Tatum playing out of his mind and kind of going off of the end of that Game 6. But I think Philly really just smoked it. I think Philly played really well for that series, and they had it in their hands. And when everything mattered, they smoked it. And that may come down to like Doc Rivers. That may come down to James Harden and Embiid. Their top 3 most important people seem to be people who blow it in those type of situations, and history has shown it. So they had another opportunity and maybe kind of reverted back to what they do, and they blew it. But really, they should have won the series. So whether that's coaching or whatever it is, I just think they had it, and they probably felt it, and then maybe the nerves started hitting, and then Tatum woke up, and that was kind of all she wrote. But they needed to end it. They needed to end it in that Game 6, and they didn't get it done. So that was it.
Yeah, there was a lot of chances for them. I mean, they were even kind of gifted in what was it, that Game 4? It was 2. They tied it up 2-2 after Game 4, correct? They took Game 1, Boston won Game 2, Boston won Game 3 in Philly.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
Philly won Game 4. Even that Game 4, they were kind of gifted. Like if Marcus Smart gets that shot off of just a second earlier, they lose the game, and they're going back to Boston down 3-1 instead of having the series tied 2-2. So I mean that was a big one right there. And obviously you brought up Tatum not playing well in the series up until yesterday. That was huge, man. I think Daryl Morey has his work cut out for this summer. I think that your priority is to bring James Harden back, and the rumors of him going back to Houston are out there. I don't know how much I buy them, but I think that's a huge thing. Priority number 1 is to bring back James Harden, and then I'm not going to call it priority number 2. I'm going to call it priority 1B. Is you got to get another star in there. Their biggest regret is going to go down as them letting Jimmy Butler go. That was a franchise-changing move, and they haven't recovered from it since. You got to find a guy. Jimmy for them was that guy. They couldn't rattle or anything like that because he wasn't going to let them rattle. And now it seems, they've got Joel's their leader, and he's their best player, but he's not the leader that they need. They need somebody that's going to be able to rally the troops, that's going to step up when they need him to, and create that energy to have everybody else step up. And they just don't have that right now. You're not getting that from Harden. His track record says in the postseason you'll never get that from him. So where is that guy? I guess Damian Lillard is going to be on a lot of people's radars this summer, unless Portland somehow snags the 1 pick. What I would tell you, Kay, And what I think is should and really will happen. Yeah, y'all gonna hear it here first because nobody else is talking about it. I think Russell Westbrook's market this summer is gonna be high. I think that people are gonna want to sign Russell Westbrook. I think I think if you're the Miami Heat, regardless of what happens this postseason, you've got it. It's the way that you saw this regular season go down. You still have to improve this roster. That's someone you should look at. I think if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, look at everything I just named as far as going out to compete, rallying the troops, knowing that you're never going to quit. Russell Westbrook is all of that. You can bring James Harden back to the two. We saw those two guys play together in Houston and Oklahoma City. They did pretty well together. They'll be able to work out their differences between him and Embiid, just like they did with him and Pat Bev when they played together in LA. I think that that's something that you should look at, and it's just got to be done.
Yeah, but I think if they bring him in, they may bring him in like a bench role. Uh, Honestly, all things considered, man, if I'm Russ, I'm not going anywhere. Honestly, I'm reading back up with the Clippers and kind of
I don't
going
know
from
if the
there. So I
Clippers.
think
I think that the Clippers is definitely the move for him, but can the Clippers afford to keep him?
if I'm him, I'm taking a pay cut to stay.
They can only give him the vet minimum.
That's fine. He just got a buyout for his $40 million contract. So it's not. I mean, obviously, it's always good to make more money, but over the next 4 years, I'm pretty sure the Jazz or whatever have to pay him probably like $5 million a year or something. So he has some money coming in. I think he's made enough money in his career where like I think the best fit and the chance to win a championship is probably better. I like the Philly idea is cool, but I think in certain cases when they shrink that court and they're going to double off him a lot and send help towards Embiid and things like that. Now, obviously, I think he can probably figure it out. We've seen him do it, but I still think it wouldn't be a better fit than what he knows he has already with the Clippers. So that's why I would stay. But I think Philly could use another go-to scorer, whether it's like a bench scorer or something. I think obviously Maxey has played really well, and Harden went off a couple games, but obviously people don't think he can be that same guy. He said that he's kind of not the same guy. He said, when I played like that, you guys told me I'll never win. And now that I changed the way I play, you guys are telling me I'm not going to win. So I think he's kind of locked in fully into being that point guard. So he's kind of maybe not in that scoring mode as much. But you need someone, like I was saying, in that game 6, especially at home, when no one can score, you need someone you can get the bucket, give the ball to, and just say, hey, go ISO, go get yourself a bucket. So I think they can use someone like that. I don't even know if it has to be just like a superstar. Because looking at this roster, it's like it's not bad. And maybe Tobias Harris was supposed to be that person, but they need someone that just can go get a bucket whenever, ISO, whatever. Just give it to them in those times, like I said, when it's been 2 or 3 minutes and they're not scoring, and just go get us a bucket, man.
Yeah, most def, man. It's gonna be a. Go ahead.
And I'll say someone on the wing, because obviously you got Joel Embiid, but you need someone on the wing that can do that.
Tobias might be out of there. Love Tobias, Strong Island. Oh, anybody coming out of Strong Island, we're gonna rep them and wish them the most success. When he was killing with the Clippers, I was happy to see it. Even when he first got to Philly, I was happy to see what he was doing. And when he got his bread, I was happy to see that too. But he hasn't lived up to the expectations over there. So unfortunately, that's something to look out for. Wings win in this league. You can't win a championship without having a wing. So I agree with you there. It's just where is Philly going to get it at this point? You know what I mean? But let's go ahead and dive into this series now. With this Eastern Conference Final Series starts Wednesday night. I'm picking the Heat to win in 6. Now, you're going to say I'm being biased. A little bit, yes. I'm not going to lie. I am being a little biased. But also, I really genuinely feel like the Boston Celtics do not put any fear in the Miami Heat's heart. Like I said, the coaching matchup, I think you got to give that to the Heat right now. Star power, the Celtics have Jaylen Brown and they have Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum has not been consistent at all this postseason. Even going back to last postseason, he was not consistent at all. So that's going to be something that you got to watch out for. I think Miami's defense has become very lethal in this postseason, and that's another thing to watch out for here. And it's really like Jimmy and Bam against those two guys, and then whoever has it that night. So for me, I'm taking the Heat in 6. I'm even going to give the Heat game 1. I'm going to give they're coming off more rest. I think that they'll be ready to go, especially if Jimmy's feeling healthy. Kay, you look like you don't agree with me. But that's how I'm feeling. I got Heat in 6. I'm going to take Heat in game 1. Game 2 would be when?
Probably Saturday if they play. No, they play Wednesday. It'd probably be Friday night. I think everything's gonna be every other day now.
All right, so if they're playing Wednesday, yeah, Friday, and then Sunday. So when we come back on Monday, I'm gonna have the Heat up 2-1 going into game 4.
Okay, I think obviously they played last year and it came down to that final shot by Jimmy Butler. I think the X factor in this series is Jaylen Brown. I think obviously Jimmy Butler plays out of his mind like he played in the first round. I think they're going to need Jimmy Butler in this series. I think they were able to get out of that Knicks series without needing Jimmy Butler as much, but I think Jimmy Butler's going to have to kind of revert back to that first round Jimmy because I think Boston's just a better team than the Knicks are. I think they have a little more scoring, maybe a little better offense. So I think Brown to me is always like the most difficult matchup because Tatum is going to be Tatum, but I feel like a lot of teams don't have someone to guard both of those guys. So obviously you think Jimmy Butler would probably be on Tatum. So then that gives Brown who would be guarding Brown? You think?
Probably Strus.
So see, Brown has Strus on. So Brown usually gets the lesser defender on him. So I think Jimmy Butler and Jason Tatum will probably go blow for blow. But and even if Tatum's having like you said the up and down game, there may be nights where it's like Jimmy Butler versus Jaylen Brown. So Jaylen Brown is the one who gives them that kind of maybe mismatch or gives them that extra weapon when like Tatum is not playing. So I think they're gonna need Jimmy Butler every night in this series, and the shooters have to show up too. I think with Jimmy Butler, obviously, if he's gonna play out of his mind, he's gonna need those shooters to space the court for him. So I think those guys are gonna have to keep up their play. Keep up everything they've been doing. Bam will be interested in this series, kind of going up against Al Horford and Robert Williams. How effective can he be on the defensive end, offensive end with that low to mid-range jumper, kind of spacing the court a little bit, especially if he has Robert Williams on him, someone who wants to hang more around the rim.
Come on, Kay.
It'll be to
Give
me.
it to me.
This the. Will we see Hero in this series? I think this is Hero's.
I think we're expected to. I do think he will be back.
He's the one that can offset Brown a little bit. It's tough, man. I don't know. I think this series is kind of a pick 'em one right now. I'm gonna go Celtics in 7. But I feel like it's a pick 'em, man. I'm not confident in that decision. I just think the Celtics have a little more star power, but man, Jimmy Butler can play out of his mind, and those guys have been playing really well this season. I think if Hero comes back, and it's gonna be hard to just throw him in there in the conference finals, but if he can just come off the bench and kind of still be himself a little bit, he doesn't have to be nothing too crazy. I think that really helps them on the offensive side of things. I think that can change the series. So
that's exactly where I want him.
As I always say, when the facts change, so do my opinion. So next Monday, if Hero's here, I hold the right to change my mind.
All right, say that. So Kay's saying pick 'em. I'm not mad at that because this is definitely a hard one to go. I got Heat in 6.
And these guys have played each other. They've played each other now. 3 out of the 4 last conference finals.
I mean,
Heat won the one in the bubble. Celtics won last year, so these teams really know each other, man. It's really not going to come down to X's and O's, and I think that's where kind of you were saying. I think the Heat have the advantage when it comes down to coaching. I think Spoelstra would obviously do what Spoelstra does and make those adjustments, and we'll see how well the Celtics coach could do. But that may be where the Heat get them this one. Is when it because both of these teams know each other really well. So it's like which coach is going to be able to make that extra adjustment, extra step to get them the dub.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite rivalries. Not even like this group, they've been playing each other in the conference finals, like we said, 3 of the last 4 years. But this is probably one of my more favorite rivalries going back to 2010 when it was Boston's Big Three against Miami's Big Three, and that was a consistent matchup in the playoffs too. So and it was Danny Ainge and Pat Riley, not so much anymore, but obviously that Pat Riley Lakers Celtics thing is there as well. So I mean, it's gonna be fun to watch. I feel you. Obviously, things can change. I got him in 6 at the moment right now. You got him in 7, and I think this probably gonna be this. I think this series is gonna be more fun to watch than the Western Conference Finals series, just because of some of the rivalry and then the things that you're gonna have delivered to you. But speaking of, let's go ahead and get into the Western Conference Finals. You had the Denver Nuggets.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, no, forget it. I'm holding my right to change my mind. I may change my mind. Let's see how game 1 goes.
All right, all right. Denver Nuggets. They got there by way of taking out Phoenix. I got to go to game. I got to go to game 3.
Right. Congrats to you for graduating.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, congrats, brother.
Game 3 was crazy. I'm not gonna lie. People in Phoenix are not that nice. I'm not gonna get into the story. Okay, I'll tell you off air. But it was a cool atmosphere. Definitely ain't as big an atmosphere as what we're used to seeing in like New York or things like that. The arena's just not that big, but it was fun to see. Phoenix's thing, which we talked about, their downfall: no bench production. You got to have depth to win championships, and it was really all laid out on KD and Devin Booker. And then obviously you needed more from DeAndre Ayton, and he just didn't give you that. So they get taken out. Monty got fired. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't agree with the firing at all. I don't think it was Monty's fault that they lost. He didn't have enough. And what it sounds like is it sounds like Matt Ishbia is the Jerry Jones of the NBA. That James Jones was not the one who orchestrated the KD trade. Matt Ishbia was. And according to Adrian Wojnarowski, James Jones' voice is not as loud as it used to be. And I think that is a mistake because James Jones has done a hell of a job running this organization. So Matt Ishbia, if you think that you know more than him based on that resume, I don't know. I think it's a little crazy, and I do not like the way that things are going. But that is what it is. Again, another thing we can dive into a little more later. And yeah, Denver just kind of capitalized on that. They capitalized on the fact that they had a more complete roster, and that Phoenix was just top heavy. So you had that there. The Lakers ended. Do we want to say that they ended the dynasty?
No, I don't. You feel how you feel. I don't want to say.
I don't know if I want to say they ended it. I think there's going to be a lot of changes this offseason over there. There's going to be some guys that are not returning. I do believe that Draymond has played his last game in a Golden State Warriors jersey. Clay, I'm on the fence about it. But I do think that changes are coming, for sure, for sure. The Lakers, they took care of business, finished it in 6 games, and here we are. I think that this is going to be a fun, again, we got the bubble all over again, but not the bubble. Same teams, just a couple years later in a more open setting. I got a rematch of the 2020 finals. I think the Lakers get back to the NBA finals, bearing anything crazy, of course, because with the Lakers and Anthony Davis that those things can happen. But I'm gonna go Lakers to take this. I got the series going in 6-2.
Yeah, the Sun series, it kind of came down to just not having the depth. I think KD and Book kind of looked tired or exhausted in that game 6, and hey, they might have packed it up. Like, hey, even if we get past these guys, getting to like winning the championship this year for them kind of seemed kind of far fetched. Like I agree with you where I don't think it was Monty Williams' fault. So it's tough to see him get fired, and I think he done enough to earn himself at least another year with a fully year with this roster, and then the right roster moves during the off season. So I think he definitely earned himself enough for that. But Yeah, it really just came down to the Nuggets have been together for a few years. If you think about it, the last 2 years that Jamal Murray was healthy, they were in the conference finals. So that was the bubble, and then the last 2 years he wasn't healthy. He didn't play in the playoffs either year, and now he's back and they're in the conference finals again. So it's a team that's been together for a while. They play well together, especially obviously some pieces has changed around them, and they got more veteran help and more shooters, which were good that they needed. But I just think it came down to a team that's been thrown together with not a lot of like you said, it's top heavy, and you just ran up against a team that was playing well and they've been together for a while, and it's kind of tough to beat those teams. It was more like stars versus teams, and I think versus team, and then that team also has a two-time MVP who kind of just played out of his mind, and your center just couldn't hang with him, so. And then he gets hurt, and then CP gets hurt. So you lose your top heavy, and you lose two of your top four. So I think it was kind of just like it was. The writing was kind of on the wall for those guys. But D Book wasted you can look at it as a waste of a playoff run, but a hell of a run for him, man. Putting up numbers that like maybe only Jordan put up, so he deserves some credit. And as far as the owner, I think we talked about this on here a lot, where owners try to come in and make their own imprint on the franchise. And we said it like even with Daniel Jones last year, like this isn't the GM's guy. This isn't the head coach's guy. So sometimes it's just like you weren't my guy, and that's kind of like what he's doing right now. It seems like, and like you said, maybe you should listen to James Jones a little more, but I think Monty Williams did enough to deserve himself for extra year. So that's kind of tough to see happen. But you know how it is when changes happen. People want to get their guys in there and the guys who they think is right for the team. So he has his two-star players, and there's going to be a new roster next year. I guess he felt like he wanted a new coach. So that's just how it goes when changes are in there. But it is what it is. As far as the Lakers-Warriors series, I was a little surprised how it went. When we talked about it before, I didn't think AD was going to have that big of an impact with those shooters on there, but AD's playing out of his mind right now. I think the Lakers are just clicking right now. Uh, uh, Clay didn't play too well. He was missing. Jordan Poole played terrible. So I think it was, in a sense, kind of Stephen Curry against the Lakers in a way. I don't think Draymond played great either. A lot of people are talking about his friendship with LeBron. So I think I wouldn't say the dynasty's ending, but like you said, I think there'll be roster changes there. I think if you look at when the Warriors won all their championships, it was that core surrounded by veteran players. I think since those guys got older, they looked at it as, oh, we can keep these young guys, and now it's like the old guys plus the young guys. Especially with them winning the title last year, I think this run showed them that like, I think we need to get back to having a mixture of veteran guys in there, and maybe some of these young guys just aren't ready yet. So I think there'll be roster changes. I think that core will stay, but I think some of those young guys may be added there for more veteran help. As far as the Lakers Nuggets series, I'm gonna go Lakers in 6 too. I think I tweeted this the other day. If this was a David Stern NBA, we'd definitely get a Lakers Celtics finals. So I think that's what we'll end up with. I got the Lakers in 6. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, it comes down to Jokic versus AD. And if they even decide to put AD on Jokic, because then it's like foul trouble, and that brings him away from the paint and helping and things like that. So it's going to be a back-and-forth matchup. How well could Jamal Murray play in this series? Denver obviously has home court, so... But I think the Lakers get them in 6. Like I said, I think the Lakers are just clicking right now. I think defeating the Warriors, defending champ, the team that's been like a dynasty, first team to beat them, not in the finals. So I think they'll be riding a high too. So I got the Lakers in 6.
Yeah, I ain't mad at that at all. I feel like you gotta have AD in there squaring up with Jokic. Like I definitely get what you're saying. That's a worry, but like you gotta have your best center on their best center. Like I think that's unavoidable. That's gonna be a matchup that it's gonna happen. It has to happen.
Right, but I think It's gonna be. It's obviously it's gonna be a chess match. I think you don't want him picking up too many fouls trying to guard him because you don't want AD off the court. And I think with the way Jokic has played, especially what he showed me in the Phoenix series, would you rather AD lining up with him? Like I said, that takes him away from the basket. So now maybe other guys feel like they can attack the basket more because now AD's like maybe coming over for help, and that at least Jokic open for more offensive rebounds and things like that. So I think having him as the help defender, putting him on him a little bit, like you said, I think they have to match up eventually. But I think early on in the games, maybe you don't start AD on him. I think maybe fourth quarter when it's that time, you put AD on him. But I think I don't know what backup center they have, but I think AD still being able to roam the paint a little bit, kind of like that free safety in the back, stopping other guys from getting into the paint. I think that may work better for them because I think him guarding Jokic one-on-one full game, he's too focused on that matchup to maybe protect the paint like he was able to do in these last couple series. So that opens up the paint for a lot of people to get in there, and his defense has been amazing in the paint. So it'll be a different series. So I think in the big crucial moments you put him on him, but I'd rather AD kind of just protecting the paint in there and even stopping maybe Jokic from wanting to come in there on the weak side help. But then you have to look at their bench, and I don't know if they have someone that can come in and kind of play Jokic tough. So we'll see how it goes.
I was watching KG talk about like how do you beat Jokic, and I think the best thing that he said was, you really can't stop him, but what you can do, you're not going to beat the Nuggets if Jokic is scoring and he's getting assists. He can't do both. You got to stop him from doing one or the other, and that's kind of your key to victory there. I think that Darvin Ham's got his work cut out for him, obviously, but you've got to figure out a way to cut one of those things off. I think probably more realistic is that you keep him from getting the assists, because obviously scoring wise, it's just like you really can't do nothing with him. But assist wise, if you can limit that, that's got to be your go-to.
And I think you limit his assists more if AD is like clogging that paint up in there. You think about the last couple series, like people were really scared to go up against AD. So I think that cuts off a lot of driving lanes and people attacking the paint like that. So if the guards continue to play like they played last series against the Warriors shooters, then excuse me, I'd rather have him in there like clogging up that paint because that cuts off a lot of driving lanes, some of his backdoor passes, things like that. A lot of his passing to cutters, it cuts a lot of that off, and a lot of people are going to be scared to go up on AD. So I think not having AD on him kind of cuts off some of his assists, some of his backdoor cuts, especially the Jamal Murray, things like that. So we'll see how it goes, though. Like I said, the Lakers would need somebody who can give them some minutes on Jokic, and I don't know if they have that at the moment. I don't know who their backup center is right now.
Right. Supposed to be Mo, but he's out for the year. Definitely gonna be fun, man.
If Mo's my option, AD might have to guard him.
Oh man. We love you, Mo. Okay, you got anything else for before we get out of here?
Nah. Like I said, congrats to you for graduating. Can't
Appreciate
see
you, bro.
what's next for you and kind of what's next for us going forward. So, like I always say, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, all the people who came, all the people who left, man. Appreciate everyone, anyone who left a comment, man. You guys be safe out there, man. It's a crazy world. See you guys next Monday.
For sure, man. Thanks for tuning in. For Rich and Kay, we'll see you guys next Monday. Peace.